The Russians shelled energy and industrial facilities in the Kherson region. Trump has appointed a new special envoy for Ukraine, who it is, and also about the real winter in the western regions of Ukraine. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next news releases. This is Tisan Online. Hello, my name is Valeria Kovalinska. Let's get started. A candle of remembrance in the window. Every year, on the fourth Saturday of November, Ukraine commemorates the victims of the Holodomor of 1932 to 33. The man-made famine orchestrated by the communists in Ukraine is one of the largest genocides of the 20th century and affected almost every Ukrainian family. About 3.9 million people died in those tragic years. It is a wound that hurts and continues to bleed even after generations. After all, Ukrainians were starved to death to destroy our desire for freedom and the nation itself. And today, the Russians are guided by similar methods. On the day of mourning, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, together with the First Lady and other government officials, honored the memory of all victims of the genocide during a prayer service at the Assumption Cathedral. The traditional church service was held under the leadership of the primate of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, Epiphanius, and at 4 p.m., a nationwide minute of silence will begin across Ukraine. So, wherever you are, you can light a candle of remembrance and honor those who became victims of Stalin's genocide. There are already 32 dead in Ternopil, 6 of them children. At night, rescuers found the body of another woman at the site of the enemy strike, and the day before, they recovered the bodies of a mother from under the rubble, her 6-year-old daughter and 1.5-year-old son. 7 people are considered missing. They are being searched for under the rubble of the apartment building destroyed by a Russian missile. The work continues non-stop. More than 200 rescuers have been working for the 4th day in a row. Meanwhile, the wounded are being treated in 4 city hospitals. There are currently 35 adults and 17 children there. 12 of them are in serious condition in intensive care units. 2 of them are minors. In total, nearly 100 people have sought medical help after the massive missile and drone attack. The youngest victim is 3 months old. Long lines formed at the blood transfusion center as most of the wounded required surgery. An endless stream of people willing to share the most essential things with those who have lost their homes. How did the people of Ternopil come together to overcome the consequences of the Russian terrorist attack? TSN correspondent Svetlana Pavuk will tell the story.
The first hours after the strike, many apartment buildings are still shrouded in smoke and fire. Against the grey backdrop, figures in vestments appear. When the explosion happened here, a mourning service was underway at a nearby church. Immediately after it, Greek Catholic priests came to the sites of the strikes. They stayed with the people who waited and prayed for their loved ones to survive under the rubble.
I was serving the liturgy while all this was happening, and after that, together with the other priests, we decided to take turns going there right away, so that we could give the anointing of the sick to those who were still alive, to be among them. And this is actually very helpful, because even yesterday while I was there, people came up to me, talked with me, prayed with me for those who still hadn't been rescued, for those who had already truly suffered.
This church also announced a collection of necessities for those affected. And soon after, the church turned into a hub. The townspeople brought and delivered packages of food, clothing, bed linens, and hygiene products in a constant stream.
Because if people are in need and I have extra, then you have to help.
Some sorted and organized everything, while others helped distribute it.
They even brought medicines and diapers. Well, everything that was needed, people brought.
Did people bring a lot of things?
A lot, a whole lot. Money, children's clothes, men's and women's clothes, and shoes. We had already given away the food. And
what did they take?
Cheese, dairy products, sausages, clothes, napkins. Well, gently. Everything there was. Toilet paper, everything a person might need because they were left with nothing. I know her, she's a colleague, and she said, "This is how I left, and my friend too, just like this, with nothing."
People also immediately rushed to the blood donation center. They had never seen lines like this here before. On the first day, the medical staff worked until nightfall. Groups of students, employees from various institutions, and just local residents came in. And they kept coming and coming.
Our organization decided to come today and donate because we know there is a need, and maybe that blood will save someone's life.
We wanted to donate blood because we saw what happened. We understand what the needs are today. but they say there are a lot of donors and to come later because blood is always needed. They send it to the east, so we will definitely come next week.
Hundreds of people and hundreds of phone calls. And right now on social media, I even asked people to pause to some extent because blood has an expiration date. All groups, military, students, young people, and just caring individuals, we were surprised because it's hundreds.
133 apartments have been destroyed. The city council promises initial assistance of 15,000 hryvnias to each family so they can rent housing for the first month. Shelter will be provided to those who need it.
Representatives from the ministry promised us that people would be able to receive compensation. By the new year, people will have to wait that long for compensation in order to start repairing their apartments. We will be able to cover their rent for the apartments they will be staying in.
Some business owners are also ready to rent housing for people.
I'm ready to help with housing for 3 families to rent an apartment for 2 to 3 months. If you know people who, thank God, survived but were left without a home, please reach out. I will definitely help you.
More than 1,000 windows have been shattered. They will be purchased centrally and installed free of charge within a week. The city authorities will cover the costs of organizing the funerals for those who died. And a special charitable account has been opened to help the victims. Local businesses are being asked to contribute to its funding. Svetlana Pavuk, Vitaly Pavuk, Ternopil, TSN 1+1.
In Kherson region, 6 people were wounded in a single day. The Russians shelled the region's energy and industrial facilities. 3 apartment buildings, 14 private houses, civilian cars and garages were damaged. There was a strike in the central district of Kherson. According to local residents, these were extremely powerful hits. The blast wave threw a cargo van, which was parked nearby, onto a fence. The vehicle ended up hanging on the fence. All morning, people have been cleaning up the aftermath of the night shelling, shoveling out fragments of shells. Pipes, broken glass everywhere. The last time this happened was at 07, just after 7 o'clock in the morning. Thank God I had just come out of the bathroom only moments before, and all of this shattered glass and debris flew directly into my bathroom. Trump has appointed a new special envoy for Ukraine. The position went to U.S. Army Secretary Driscoll. He is also a friend and former classmate of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Driscoll was in Kyiv on Thursday. Together with American generals, he held talks with President Zelensky. According to Western media, a delegation of high-ranking U.S. military officials, a group of American generals, plans to travel to Moscow at the end of next week. The purpose of the trip is to discuss the details of Trump's so-called peace plan directly with representatives of the Kremlin. What do you think? What outcome will the trip to Moscow lead to? Be sure to write about it in the comments to this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I will continue with the TSN broadcast. The deadline for the peace plan is Thanksgiving. The U.S. president has given Kyiv until next Thursday to agree to the peace plan proposed by the American side. Donald Trump stated this in an interview with Fox News. According to media reports, the conditions of the American peace plan include recognizing the territories already occupied by Russia, the withdrawal of the Ukrainian armed forces from the entire Donbas region, reducing the Ukrainian army to 600,000 troops, limiting long-range weaponry, enshrining in the constitution a refusal to join NATO, and a ban on the deployment of peacekeeping forces in Ukraine. Washington assures that the plan which Driscoll handed over to Zelensky the day before differs somewhat from the one published in the media. Meanwhile, the president of Ukraine held consultations yesterday with European leaders who were not involved in developing the new American plan. Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that he expects to speak with Trump in the coming days. The format, whether by phone or in person, was not specified. He emphasized in his address the day before that the coming week will be difficult and there will be a lot of work at the diplomatic level, as well as a lot of pressure, both political and informational. The president compared this period to the beginning of the full-scale invasion.
We are not making loud statements. We will calmly work with America and all our partners. There will be a constructive search for solutions with our main partner. I will present arguments, I will persuade, offer alternatives, but we will definitely not give the enemy any reason to say that Ukraine does not want peace, that it is disrupting the process, or that Ukraine is not ready for diplomacy. That will not happen.
The European Union learned about the existence of the US peace plan for Ukraine from the news. Brussels was not officially informed about work on the initiative. Yesterday, the leaders of EU countries discussed their own plan of further actions with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. What European politicians are saying and what they plan to do will be reported by Radio Svoboda's correspondent in Brussels, Zoriana Stepanenko, especially for TSN.
The President of the European Council confirmed today that the European Union was not officially notified about such initiatives. And I wouldn't be exaggerating at all if I said that everyone here was genuinely surprised by the existence of a 28-point plan. But those were more like yesterday's emotions. Today, the focus is more on what to do next. First and foremost, to support Ukraine so that it can negotiate from a position of strength. And this European strategy will not change, the President of the European Commission assured today.
We will continue to support Ukraine just as we have done before. Ukraine can count on us because this is not just aggression against Ukraine, but aggression against the very foundations of the UN Charter. This is happening on European soil, and that is why we will support Ukraine for as long as it takes.
I still see it as a list of issues that urgently need to be discussed between Ukraine and Russia, rather than as a final plan. We want to ensure that Ukraine can speak on these issues from a strong negotiating position. And it is Ukraine alone that must decide what compromises to make. We are not arbitrators here, but defenders of Ukraine. It is defending its freedom in Europe.
The British Prime Minister also agrees that, above all, it is up to Ukraine to determine its own future. Keir Starmer, the President of France, and the Chancellor of Germany all spoke with Zelensky by phone today. For the sake of this conversation, Friedrich Merz had to urgently change his plans for today. European leaders will discuss the high-profile plan tomorrow on the sidelines of the G20 summit. This year, the highest leadership is absent from the forum, not only from Russia, but also from China and the United States. Nevertheless, Europe still wants to talk to the American side about its proposal. Whether there will be reciprocity from Washington remains to be seen, but previously Donald Trump did engage in such contacts. American experts I spoke with doubt that the proposed initiative has a high chance of being implemented.
I don't expect Ukraine to accept it. I also don't expect our European allies to be pleased about it, so I don't know exactly what will happen. One scenario is that Trump declares victory, but in reality, nothing actually happens. Another is that these peace talks happen on and off. But for this to become a lasting, meaningful peace that Ukraine agrees to, that would be very surprising to me.
Among the points of the so-called US-Russian plan is Ukraine's renunciation of NATO membership and the alliance's refusal to accept it. I contacted NATO headquarters to clarify whether such a discussion is ongoing among the allies and whether they are prepared to make such a promise. In response, it was stated that NATO wants the war in Ukraine to end with a just and lasting peace, and President Trump's efforts in this direction are considered key. The Wall Street Journal has learned that Europe is working on its own version of a plan to end the war, with what are considered to be fairer terms for Ukraine. The details of this proposal are unknown, but for example, the German Chancellery, summarizing today's conversation with Zelensky, insisted that the line of contact should be the starting point for reaching an understanding and that the Ukrainian armed forces must remain combat ready. Accordingly, it can be assumed that Europe is against reducing their numbers as well as withdrawing from Donbass. Journalists report that they want to finalize work on the European plan in the coming days. From Brussels, Zoriana Stepanenko, Marek Hajduk, Radio Svoboda, especially for TSN 1+1.
The most difficult moment in our history. Volodymyr Zelenskyy addressed Ukrainians, stating that the pressure on Ukraine is currently the greatest and the country is facing a difficult choice. The loss of dignity or perhaps the loss of a key partner. The president stated that the plan is to seek solutions that will not allow anyone to say that our country is disrupting the peace process. At the same time, Zelenskyy expressed hope for the support of European partners.
Now, Ukraine may find itself facing a very difficult choice. Either the loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner. Either the difficult 28 points or an extremely harsh winter. The toughest and further risks. Of course, we are made of steel, but even the strongest metal can break. I am now addressing all Ukrainians. Our people, citizens, politicians, everyone need to pull themselves together, get a grip, stop the bickering, stop the political games. The state must function. The parliament of a country at war must work in unity. The government of a country at war must work effectively. And all of us together. We must not forget or confuse who exactly is Ukraine's enemy today.
The forum called Communicators During War is all about the people. It took place in the capital the day before. This event brings together and highlights stories of personal human transformation during the war. In particular, in a friendly conversation format, the speakers share their experiences. Among the communicators are veterans, soldiers returning from captivity. And they are learning again how to speak in a way that motivates others. These are doctors who save lives under shelling, and their words with which they support the wounded. And also women who are waiting for their missing soldiers. At the same time, they are creating support groups so that no one has to wait alone anymore. Among the forum's speakers is our colleague, TSN correspondent Olena Hushchik. Her conversation was with Olha Mazenkova, the wife of a missing defender, a participant in the Life After Scars project, and an activist with the Defenders Families Association, Women of the Territorial Defense. Together, they recalled what Olha had gone through and discussed how, despite everything, pain and loss can be transformed into support for others and at the same time into meaning for oneself.
There are so many people at war and already so many losses. And just to accept this moment to say thank you. We are all in the same boat, each of us rowing our own distance, some facing their own depths. For some, the boat may already be taking on water, and it's just about noticing one another.
Our special focus this year is on personal stories, specifically those connected to the war and transformation. When a person is able to show, right now we all really need positive experiences of overcoming traumatic events. Absolutely. Who managed to turn the terrible things that happened to them into something good, something bright?
We want people not to see veterans, soldiers, or those waiting for missing defenders as people from another world. We want everyone to understand that they are just like us. These are people who want to live, who want to communicate, so that together we can look for a way out of the situation and find great friends like Olga, whom we spoke with today.
Real winter has already arrived in the western regions of Ukraine. Last night, Lviv and Volyn regions got a good covering of snow. Snow covered the streets, the roofs of vehicles, and the parks. In some places, particularly in Stary Sambir, more than 20 centimeters of snow were recorded. And while the residents of these regions are already feeling the Christmas spirit, sharing photos and videos of the winter wonderland on Telegram channels, and even recalling Christmas carols. Meanwhile, municipal workers in Lviv have been working in enhanced mode throughout the night and morning. They are clearing the streets, sidewalks, and public transport stops. However, Ternopil, Rivne, Zakarpattia, and Prikarpattia regions are keeping up with Lviv. It is also snowing here this morning. At the same time, the Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center is warning about hazardous weather conditions in these regions, including possible wet snow accumulation and icy roads. They are asking everyone to be cautious, especially drivers, and not to drive on summer tires. That's all from me for now. Let us know in the comments which news story impressed you the most. Give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. See you at 7:30 p.m. on the TSN YouTube channel.